Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today I'm going to go over some snap threat tips for tanks alike at beginner, intermediate, and things like that, and cover some of the biggest threat generators for each tanks, and also kind of how to approach pulls. Before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way to helping out the channel. If you want to support me directly, there's a Patreon link down below with early access guides, early access videos, early access bunch of stuff, exclusive content. Go on, check that out. There is merch for sale as well. Blood DK, I'm the healer now. Hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, long shirts, bunch of stuff. I only do dungeons fully erect, and of course, Sad Bear, I'm a tank too, newly introduced, as well as some WoW Pug Bingo merch. Go ahead, check that out. And of course, there is Discord and Twitch. All the stuffs. All right, so. Snap threat. Now this is one thing that I see a lot of new tanks kind of struggle with. I get this question a lot on YouTube comments, my Twitch chat, and Discord. So we're going to be going over a couple of things. Now one of the biggest things you can do as a new tank to help snap threat and gain that threat so you don't lose it immediately is how to approach the pull itself. And each pull is really different. The more spread out a pull is, the tougher it can be to kind of go in and grab everything. So sometimes you have to stop and sit, like get your pull, get a few globals off, and then chain in your next one. Just hitting one ability isn't enough at times. And in fact, for most tanks, it kind of isn't. So that's something that you do have to watch out for. Some of your biggest threat generators, which is, we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But the more spread out a pull is, the more you have to kind of attack things differently. If everything is in a line, going directly into the middle of that line might mean that the mobs at the two ends might not get hit by enough of your AoE quick enough, and those will usually commonly be the ones that are going to actually lose threat first when they come in because you've barely hit them. So sometimes what I will do is if there's this one pull in Halls of Infusion where everything's in a line, I will actually attack it in that line and then move up and learn to strafe. That's one of the things you're going to have to do, is learning how to kind of go sideways, because you never want to turn your backs on a mob, but you go in, you hit you start your rotation, and then you start strafing, making sure that you can bring everything in, and then kind of moving back a little bit and settling in for your pull. If you're planning on chaining multiple pulls in, sit for a global or two, right? Hit your thunderclap, revenge, get some threat, and then move the pull over to something else and add something in. A lot of DPS as well, the moment they see you throw like something out, they go ham. That's on them, that's not on you. They really should wait for the pull to kind of settle in and be like, okay, cool, like I can burst. It's okay to kind of throw some stuff out, throw some starter dots and stuff like that for DPS, but you really, before you hit every major cooldown, when everything is compact together, your life is going to be a lot better. But that is and your job as a tank is to get that in as quick as possible. Sometimes you have to use your kick to bring something in and really work that around, but as you pull more, you'll kind of see what's going on. On Bear, for example, if the pull is at a distance, I will hit it with a couple of Moonfires, because you have such a long range on that ability. Get some quick threat on that, charge, and Thrash. Thrash is a really good threat generator for Bear, and then Swipe, I've actually noticed, does do a decent amount of AoE threat gen, but doesn't do much else. So it's not quite something that you want in your rotation, but until the pull is fully settled, go in with a Thrash and maybe a Swipe does help at times, especially while you're learning. Once you kind of gotten the hang of where to pull and how to pull and where the weird things are, then you can go in with more Mangles and Mauls and kind of really get that in. But Thrash is your biggest threat generator for Bear. For Warrior's a little different. It's Thunderclap, but you want that Thunderclap being bolstered as much as possible. So as you charge into a pack, you can actually hit Avatar before you get to your destination. So you charge Avatar, and then you can hit it with a nice Thunderclap, which applies Rend, and then you can really get the ball going, get your Demo shut out, get that amplified damage on everything, and then bam, you're just rolling into town. Now, if you're planning on using your Demo shout as a defensive, that's something that you can choose and opt to do, but if you know there's not a whole lot that is threatening in that pack, you can get it off nice and early, you have a nice setup, and you can really amplify your damage that way. with Vengeance, one of the things that I see a lot of people do is they hop, they Infernal Strike to their destination, and mid-leap, they hit Immolation Aura. Wait until you hit the ground. Immolation Aura is one of your only true, like, full AoE uncapped abilities that will hit everything and deals a good amount of damage to gain that snap threat. So do not hit it midair. Wait until you land to hit Immolation Aura, so that way it breaks everything. And in Mythic Plus, you should be doing that anyway, because Fallout, so that way you'll get some nice quick Soul Fragments, which you'll be able to Soul Bomb, which is your next biggest kind of AoE thing to get as much threat as possible, right? So one of the things I'll do with Vengeance is I will open up with a Glaive if I'm far enough. Glaive, hop on the others, already have Demon Spikes rolling by the time you land, and Immolation Aura. Bam, you have instant good threat. You can also open with Sigil of Flames as well to kind of get some quick snap as you go along there. Brewmaster. Now, Brewmaster is one that I get a lot about, because Brewmaster doesn't really have a lot of abilities that deal a lot of damage. What happens is they have a lot of abilities, and combined they deal a very good amount of damage, but you don't see like one ability that's super high above the others, except for one. That is Keg Smash. You want to be opening up with Keg Smash for as much snap threat as possible, but Keg Smash also has a limited area in which you can pull into. If you know you don't need your Ring of Peace for something like Spitefuls or a stop, it's not planned. If you have a spread out pull, you can open out with a Ring of Peace to bring in the pull closer, and then Keg Smash everything at once. But that Keg Smash is very important, and the mob that you choose to target for that Keg Smash is also very important. Try and centralize, like, take the mob that's closest in the middle for that Keg Smash to deal that damage to as many mobs as possible. This is very, very important when you're starting that opener. I am doing rotation videos on kind of everything else, so these are just kind of the quick snap threat tips. So I'm not going to be going into lengthy, detailed openers for each tank, but going over some of the biggest threat-generating abilities. And Keg Smash is one for Brewmaster. Then we got to talk about Paladin. Now, Paladin is a little bit trickier, especially when your pull has more than 5 targets. If your pull has 5 targets, Avenger Shield is going to hit every single one, and I've noticed that does a decent job at getting it there. And then you can Judgment a couple of others where you know you just might lose it, especially those prio mobs where you really want to make sure you get it. But shield travel is very important to kind of look to see what it bounces to. So if you have 6 targets in a pull, you hit shield, the one it doesn't hit needs to be your next global for Judgment or Hammer of Wrath if you have wings going, to make sure that you're completely getting threat on everything. And if you're only hitting the one target, like you're only targeting the one target with all of your shields and judgments on the opener, and you have more than 6 or more targets in a pack, you're going to be losing a lot of threat until you hit that Divine Toll, which you don't want to do too early, because you want to be kicking as much stuff as possible. So you see a couple casts go off with the pull in, you're going to get that Tears Enforcer damage and really amplify everything the Divine Toll can do. And if everything's too spread out, you're losing a lot of value from it. But sometimes in a Pug world, you just kind of have to do that. So you hit Avenger Shield, it hits 5 targets, you immediately hit Judgment and Hammer of Wrath on the others to bring that pull in to your Consecrate. Have a spot that you know in front of the pull where you are or in back if you're going to quickly kind of go around to make sure that no frontals are going to hit your party, that you're going to be laying your Consecrate, because you're laying your Consecrate's like laying your last stand. This is where, until I'm forced to move, this is where I'm tanking it, because I want, all of the benefits that you get from Consecration, right? But you have to be tab targeting, well, not quite tab targeting, you have to be selecting your target. I call it tab targeting, but you mouse and you click the ones that, that need that little bit of oomph. But you should not just be targeting the one with Paladin. You should be trying to multi-target as much as you can by clicking on the ones that haven't been hit by Avenger Shield and moving forward that way. Lastly, Blood DK. Blood DK, you got grips. Grips act like taunts. They're really, really good. But a lot like Paladin, you need to know where you're going to be tanking them, because you want to place your Death and Decay as quick as possible, and you can do that at range. But you're going to be opening with a Death's Caress most of the time, unless you already have Blood Shield stacks, or you need to be opening that from range already. So you you start making your pull, you have your death and decay down. Dancing rune weapon can also be used at a distance. So when you've got that down and you're planning that setup, you can hit your death and decay, your dancing rune weapon, sorry, and then immediately have 3 stacks of Blood Plague on targets. Blood Boil is one of your biggest AoE damagers, and it is fully uncapped. So this is something that when you are pressing that button, you really want to be sure that you are hitting everything, as many mobs as possible, to get them into that location. So sometimes what I will do is I will start the pull at one end and be like, Death Caress this, taunt that, and then immediately grip 2 far ones, and then boom, I have everything in my Death and Decay already, and then you're just going, because you want to make sure that that Death and Decay bonuses that you get for haste, healing, damage is all applied, and as well as your Heart Strike Cleave, because your Heart Strike doesn't hit as many targets if your Death and Decay is not active. So you want to be in that Death and Decay, and you want to, of course, need it to be active. No, that of course. So with that, we have covered all 6 tanks and quick snap threat tips and what some of your biggest AoE generators are. Hopefully that helps, but the big thing that I have to say is watch how you approach pulls. If you know that you are losing threat consistently on a very specific pull, try attacking it from a different angle. And this can be different for every single tank. There's a pull in Halls of Infusion that has 3 mobs that are separated, and they got 2 invisible ones that will stun you in the middle. How I approach that is different on each tank. And for example, I will go right up the middle with Bear and thrash, and that I have the distance to get them both out, and then boom, everything's pulled in. But on Warrior, I'll actually go from the side to bring that one in and kind of hold a Revenge or a Thunderclap and aim it in that general direction. But how you approach a pull is very critical to keeping threat as you are going forward. Now, this is something I can talk about for a very, very long time, but if you have any more questions, join the Discord. I'd be happy to help you. I am going to be making more rotation videos and all of that fun stuff for all the tanks as the season goes on. But if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below, or join the Discord, or come see me on Twitch and ask. And I've been playing all 6 tanks this season. I've got 3 of them already have their 2K plus, and one of them is 2 or 3 dungeons away, and the other ones are well along their way. So if you want to come by and see all the tanks being streamed, come on by and check out that Twitch channel down there. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Have yourself a good one. Happy tanking. Bye.